What's up, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of High Minded with McCarter, featuring my co-host, SK.
Hey, everyone.
We are back, and this week we talked to Mike Abrams, a friend of mine and one of the owners of the Peaceful Choice Dispensary, and he also gives us a bunch of insight into the cannabis market in Puerto Rico.
And New York.
Oh, yeah, we talk about New York as well.
Yeah, he has been around in the cannabis industry for a long time, so he knows so much about everything. Yeah.
We talked about so much. We talked about Iboga?
Iboga, wow.
We're gonna have to get a guest that specializes in Iboga, but we talk a little bit about it because he spends most of his time down in Puerto Rico and loves Costa Rica. And you've been down there, SK, right?
Yeah, I've been to both Puerto Rico and Costa Rica, but I was recently
But you haven't
in
done
Puerto
Iboga.
Rico. I have not done Iboga.
But we both want to.
We both want to, and it sounds like that's happening in Costa Rica. So Iboga,
Iboga is the new ayahuasca, in my understanding.
Yeah, if you're trying to end an addiction, it seems like a very quick way to get
to do that
to a new mindset. So plant medicine is out there doing so much.
Once again, another plant medicine that we're discovering. I'm sure that we sound so naive to people who actually know what Iboga is.
Yeah, it was so new to me, and it did start a little bit of a Google search.
This episode was super amazing, and thank you again to Mike Abrams for coming on. And I just got back from MJ BizCon Vegas, and it was a whirlwind.
Yeah, what was the most memorable thing that happened at MJ BizCon?
Well, unfortunately, on my plane ride home, I did puke twice into the puke bags in the airplane due to too much alcohol, I would say. And I only had 4 hours of sleep that last night. So it's 3 days. So it was Wednesday, Thursday, Friday is the convention. There was, I think, over 30,000 attendees or people there.
Wow.
It's at huge. The Las Vegas Convention Center, which I think is one of the biggest convention centers in the country.
Is it? Where's it located?
I've heard it's like right next to the airport. It's like
okay. They're set up for the
8-minute drive, I feel like, from the airport.
Okay, nice.
And I've heard there's a lot of other conventions. And then there was the electronic dance thing happening this weekend there in Vegas, or last weekend, I guess.
Cool. So y'all just got high and went and watched people.
Well, no, as all the cannabis people were leaving, all the music dance people were coming into Vegas. It was actually funny.
Nice.
But they were saying over 200,000 people were coming in for the electronic dance thing. So that's way more than the 30,000 cannabis. But that's
30,000 stoners all in one spot.
But it was
amazing.
Crazy. The amount of production that goes into these booths is insane. So I was there with my client, High on Love. Shout out to Angela. We're going to have her on the podcast here soon, actually, when she comes into Colorado next.
Oh, cool.
I'm super pumped about that. So she has some THC infused sexual intimacy oil, which I just gave to SK to try for the first time.
Yes, I'll keep you guys posted.
But it's my favorite. It literally is the best lube I've ever tried. It actually, the THC increases blood flow to the genital regions for increased pleasure.
Okay.
So, especially for females.
Nice.
So,
wow.
Yeah.
A female-centered, female-owned business? Okay.
Yes. And
I love all that.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, that's our cup of tea. As we're both drinking cups of tea.
Yes.
Oh, wait, let's do a little cheers. Cheers.
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
But anyway, MJ BizCon was amazing. It was a lot of networking. I met some really cool people. There's also some chads. You got to be careful for the chads.
Oh, yeah. Chads.
There's
slinging whack shit.
Yeah. Well, people, that don't have good product, one, or crazy wealthy businessmen.
Broy.
Yeah, and bros that just have a lot of money and are trying to get into the cannabis industry, so looking for people to invest in, but don't actually know anything about the plant and just want to make money, which is fine. You need investors for some things, but I want it to be very like inclusive, and in this industry has, I feel like we have the potential to be very like female owned, people of color owned, like be very inclusive with the wealth and the equity. And still a lot of these old white men with the capital are coming in. So you have to be careful, I feel like.
Yeah, for sure.
Gotta hold the integrity.
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah. But wait, we were just talking about before this.
Oh.
All these brands. Have you guys noticed?
Oh my gosh.
All the Z's.
The strains.
Every cannabis brand wants to put a Z, like replace an S with a Z.
Always. And I think
it's a phenomena.
Yeah, it's the Z. It started maybe with Skittles.
Skittles. So they wouldn't get sued by Skittles.
Right. And I think that honestly, Bodega Boys here,
yes.
I think that is because Jesus and Mero are the Bodega Boys with an S. I was just Googling because I wanted to know if they were affiliated in any way, but I think it's probably
these guys were in the booth across from us. Shout out to Bodega Boys with a Z in Oklahoma.
Oh my God, smell yum.
They have some flower. I got some Sweet Dreams with a flower. Or wait, with an S. Okay. With a flower. With an S, not with a Z, but it smells really good. And it looks really good.
Yeah, it smells awesome.
And their branding is on point. But it's just with the Z thing. And with the runts, I got this like cannabis cigarillo. It's a feature. It's a collab with Blackleaf. Shout out to Blackleaf. You're amazing. It was amazing to meet you. It looks like the Pure Company, but it's a cannabis cigarillo, but the strain is runts with a Z. And we're just seeing so many Z's.
Runts.
So we're just wondering like what is it? Does it mean something? Is it just like put a Z because we can? Or like, do you really have to pronounce the Z? Is it like Bodega Boys?
Runs.
Yeah, like do you really have to like do the tongue thing? I don't know. Write in. Let us know. What other Z's you got? Send them in.
Send in your Z's. Yeah. I do love Runs, though.
Runs is a great strain.
It's everywhere. And now that you say that,
Runs
it's probably...
But that's really the cookies. It's the cookies genetics. So then people are like getting their hands on it or like stealing it or whatever. I don't know.
I mean, it's ubiquitous now, so now they're getting it somehow.
Yeah, it's a strain of the people's now. It's no longer cookies.
It's the people's strain. Yes. Oh my gosh. Give it back to the people.
Oh, yes. But we both just took some fat dabs of this soy cubano soy sauce with Oreos. No,
Oreos. That's what. Oh my gosh. No,
it's
definitely a copyright thing.
What?
Because Runs, Skittles, Oreos, Bodega Boys.
Oh my God,
it has to be. Yeah. Okay.
It's a copyright.
We figured it out. We figured out the mystery.
Oh my God, this is what happens when you get high.
Oh my gosh, but write us in still with your Z's.
Okay, so it's only a copyright thing.
I mean, maybe not though. Maybe not. I do have to say.
A flare.
Yeah, it's a little
but this one, so I guess it's just replacing a letter because look, soy cubano has this live rosin that they call soy sauce, but it's SOI instead of a Y.
Yeah, I like it, but it's because soy cubano. Soy.
Yeah, everything's soy, but with an I.
With an I. It's branding. It's good branding. Oh my God! But I do have to say the soy sauce has been blowing my mind. It's the best dabs I've been taking in a second.
Ripping.
Sure. Yeah.
We're ripped.
Ripping.
We hope everyone, excuse me, oh my gosh. We hope everyone else is as ripped as we are. And thanks for listening. Please give us a 5-star review.
Like, subscribe.
Yes, please like us and subscribe us. And we're going to be redoing the website soon. We're gonna be getting some stickers soon.
Ooh, yeah.
Very
watch out for
excited.
Stickers.
Yeah, follow us on Instagram at HighMindedPod. Once again, I am McCarter.
And I'm SK.
Thanks for listening to High Minded and stay high. Welcome back to High Minded with McCarter with my co-host SK. And already coughing her brains out over here.
Thank you.
Smoking a joint with our amazing guest, Mike Abrams. Welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me. It's nice to be here.
Can you introduce yourself and tell us who you are, why you're on the show today, because of your expertise in cannabis?
I'd be happy to introduce myself. My name is Mike Abrams, 44 years old, and moved out to Colorado in 2010 when the kind of forced marriage happened in the first regulated cannabis industry. This was in June of 2010. By July 1st, they made it mandatory for you to gross at least 70% of your product in a warehouse for each medical shop, which created a real vertically integrated, regulated, somewhat market at the time. And people started to have to pair up because some people had grows, some people had shops, and most people didn't have enough money to actually do both.
Right.
So
how much money would you have needed to do both?
At the beginning, it's pretty unbelievable that you could have started these businesses with probably less than $500,000 for both. But back then, it was, 5,000 square feet warehouse and 1,000 square foot store, hoping the landlord didn't kick you out.
Wow.
At both places. So, and hoping that.
What a time. But yeah, you got into the industry really early on.
I did. I took a risk. One of my good friends who was actually my quote unquote dealer in Florida.
Amazing.
He was actually growing cannabis too. And I didn't know this. And we were just friends from poker, and, it was the place I got my weed. So he asked me one night, he said, come watch football with me at my house. And it's Monday Night Football, and I walk into his house, and he's got literally 2 trailers on a property. It was not lavish or anything.
Okay.
And I walk into his trailer, and I see a gigantic pot plant. And he goes, Mike, I need your help. I'm like, what do you need my help with? He goes, well, I got to trim this plant down. You want to help me? I know you like weed. And so we sit there and we watch Monday Night Football, and it's one plant. Now I know this is not a big deal. We trim the plant down, hang it, whatever, And I go, and I'm just not saying anything. And he goes, well, obviously, what I do now. And I need a little.
You're in on the secret.
Yeah, I need a little more of your help. Okay, all right, cool. What do you need? And he goes, well, I want to go on vacation, and I don't trust anybody. He goes, you're a nice guy. You're my friend. I know where you live.
Nice.
He's like, I've come to mildly trust you.
Yeah. It's like, you're the passive yoga guy. If you steal my shit, I'm coming after you.
He's like, I'll kill you. Oh, yeah.
It's like, but I don't think you'll do that. So watch my plants and water them for a week. Long story short, watch the plants, water them for a week. He comes back, gives me, a little bit of weed for my time and effort.
Mm-hmm, for your service.
Yeah, for my service. And I don't think anything of it. And a couple months later, he says, Mike, I'm moving to Colorado. And I said, what? I go, where am I going to get my weed?
You're like, oh, fuck.
I was like, well, how much I literally, at this point in my life, I probably never bought more than a couple ounces at once, never. And I was like, how much weed can I buy from you before you leave? Because you have the best weed and I don't know where to
Gotta
get it.
stock up.
Totally. So, I bought a half pound weed from him, stuck it in my closet, and I'm like, what are you doing? And he goes, this guy's name was Vinny. I said, what are you doing? He goes, well, I can get arrested here for what I do. But if I go to Colorado, I can get a permit, I can grow it in my house, and I can sell it to the dispensary. So anyway, long story short, he goes out, and 3 or 4 months later, he calls me. And he's like, Mike, you got to come see this. I know you're a business person. I know you love marijuana. Mm-hmm. This is huge. He's like, we just want to sit here in our closet and, grow in our closet and smoke bong hits. But why wouldn't you want a store? We can sell our weed to your store, or, you can whatever. And I was like, okay. So a couple months later, I packed up my car and I drove out here, and I saw these guys, and I literally was like, okay, if they take me to the store and they come out with money and this is all real, I got to do this, So
oh my gosh.
That's exactly what happened. And I saw.
Did they literally give cash?
Oh yeah, it was
Because it's all cash, yeah.
$4,800 a pound.
Oh my God, because I'm like, they wouldn't give you a check.
For like the weed you grew in your backyard. At first the weed was like okay, but I would say some of the best years for Colorado, like high-end cannabis, was 2012 and 13, maybe 11, because people were still growing in their house. You were still able to sell some as a caregiver to the store. There was like a lot of things, and there was a lot of more small batch stuff that people really cared about, you know? So there's unique stuff. And I know the majority of the weed is better, but, you know, you found some more stuff that maybe was like this Rainbow Flame that we smoked because people were growing 10 plants in their house, and they cared about them so much. And they were getting so much money. The market didn't really start to crash until 2012, but people started to vertically integrate in 10 and 11. So anyway, I came out here, I saw the whole thing, and that was May 2010 when I drove out here.
Okay.
I met my partner, Marissa, then a few weeks after that, and she became my girlfriend at the time. And we opened a store together. Right away, I was like,
wait, so you closed your yoga studios?
I sold them, yeah.
Sold them.
Yeah.
Okay. So you had the capital, some capital to start.
I sold, yeah, a little bit. I sold one in the yoga studios when my dad was dying because I couldn't deal with it. And and then the other one I had left was in Florida still. And it was running for a while, but between what I'd done in the stock market, between what I'd done in the yoga, I had like $200,000 to start the business. I bought 10% of a store, Nature's Medicine, which we were talking about before we came on air. Nature's Medicine was one of the original franchises that were people that tried to franchise in Colorado. A gentleman by the name of Rich Present and Drew, I can't remember his last name, but my now partner in Green Tree Medicinals bought part of Nature's Medicine. Allie Filer is her name. And I bought another part of another Nature's Medicine. Okay. And that's how we met each other. And as Nature's Medicine kind of had some issues ramping up and being a collective, because their idea was get a store and they would have a mutual grow for a bunch of stores, which was a really kind of a good strategy, but they weren't able to come up with the capital for the cultivation. Okay. And that's where I came in because I bought part of one of the stores and signed a contract to sell for $3,200 a pound to the store from my cultivation. I built the cultivation, though, and bought 10% of the store. I don't think people really saw what was going to happen when the scale of warehouse started to come online, and I knew the price was going to go to $1,800 or less. And they wouldn't sell me half of the store, which I was like, look, just let me build a grow. It's worth half. Let's be partners. And they were like, no, I will only sell you 10%. Okay. And I was like, okay, well then I want a contract to sell at a good price. And they were like $3,200 because at the time the price was like $4,000 or $4,400.
So they were like, we're getting a good deal, but
they thought they were getting a good deal. And I was like, I don't think so, but for them, I thought I was getting the better end of the deal. And I was hoping in my begin with the end in mind kind of strategy that I use is that they would come back to the deal that I wanted.
How many plants would that be?
How many plants? I think we were probably running about 300-400 plants at the time. Okay. So it wasn't crazy. I mean, it was like
harvesting how many times per year?
I quickly started to harvest on like a perpetual basis where we would harvest every week or every 2 weeks.
Oh, okay. Because so you had in cycles.
All the time. And I think there's some good things about that and some bad things about that. And if you want to talk about cultivation, I can tell you my thoughts on that too. But in general, why I did that is because I'm business minded more than I am like a green thumb or
a horticulturist.
Yeah, something like that, right? So I mean, I love business, right? And I just see that what people want is fresh new products. So if you can
they always want that new.
Yeah, every week or even that new batch.
Yeah.
Sure you want a new strain, but you want a new batch. Oh, madame, that one's 2% higher THC. Everybody's like, oh, it's like whatever. But so the long story short is basically that I harvested in a perpetual way. so that the store was continually getting product, and they needed it. Because if we went 3 or 4 weeks without getting product, we'd have to buy it somewhere else.
Right.
And my idea for combining everything was basically it's the grow and store have an equal value, right? So what happened was the price kind of dropped for wholesale, price dropped for retail, and they kind of got frustrated at the contract. And I said, well, let's just be partners then. And as we were all doing this, there was another store that wanted me to grow for them in Salida, another nature's medicine. And they were a sister store, so I was selling them product anyway. Mm-hmm. Fort Collins actually got banned in like 2011,
right.
12.
Yeah, because there's no dispensaries there.
Right, so there was, but then it got banned. So that license that they had that I only bought 10% of, I'm kind of lucky sometimes,
Because they just had to fold it.
They had to fold, but I owned the grow license. So I attached it to the Salida store and kept selling weed to Allie Filer, who was my partner in Green Tree. And as I was doing all that, because I didn't think that was enough, I guess, we bought another property in 2011 up in North Boulder with a gentleman named Laszlo Baggy. And, if you know the industry, people probably know him if you've been around back in the day. But we bought a 110-acre property with 70,000 square feet of warehouse space.
Is this the same one I've been to?
Yeah, up there.
That facility? Wow.
And that place, McCarter, was abandoned. There was like 3 tenants. And two of them were my partner who bought the building.
No way.
But
this is crazy.
It was one of the only spaces in Boulder County that was close to Boulder that was zoned for cannabis. Mm-hmm. So him and I were like, holy shit, we have to have this property.
Yeah, hop on it.
So we begged, barred, and stealed, whatever we had to do to get the property to start growing, opening licenses up in different places. And I started growing in one of the spaces there, and combined my new cultivation with Allie Filer's store in Longmont, right in front of Walmart. So then I had 2 different businesses going on because, a lot of people put all their eggs in one basket, but I was worried about how businesses could be closed. So I felt that more comfortable having several brands. Mm-hmm. So that's kind of the way I did it. Then once that happened, my ex was running Peaceful Choice at the time, and I was helping run Green Tree. And then I built another cultivation there. And Allie and I found another location for a store in 2013 in North Glen. So
wow.
So
this is crazy.
Diversified, pretty.
Yep. And then my partner couldn't build this cultivation down on Oakland Street in Denver, and every store needed a cultivation, or you couldn't open at the time because of that vertical integration law. Mm-hmm. So then I went ahead and built another cultivation in Denver, and Allie built a store in North Glen, and we partnered up on that. So I wound up with 3 stores, 3 cultivations, all vertically integrated in 3 different locations. And that happened in a period of about 3 years.
And now time for a quick commercial break. Check out the Weed Maps app. Even if you're a lifestyle user, just curious, or a daily user, they have all types of different features on their app. I use the app to search for my favorite edibles, and it will show you what dispensary locations have that nearby, so you can go pick it up. You can even order it through the app as well, and it shows you all of the deals and discounts that are going on at retail stores. Check it out on the App Store and download it. It's free, and stay high.
When you say microdosing, both of you, what is your dosage?
I take 0.25 grams.
That's right about where I'm at. And if I want, I don't ever want to get more elevated than that kind of thing. So I take 0.25, and then if I'm starting to come down and I want to I'll take another 0.25. Mm-hmm. Like, because I like the daytime. I don't know. A lot of people like to wait till later. To me, like I
like daytime too.
Yeah, it's like
lights and shadows. It's more fun.
It's so cool,
right?
but I don't but I feel like 0.25 lasts me like 3 or 4 hours.
Mm-hmm. Oh, okay.
Maybe.
I think that probably is for me too, and I haven't realized like the wear off, and you're making me realize like, wait, I should probably try what you're trying.
So I go about like 3 hours, and then if I want to continue on that path, and which I usually do, I usually take another one, another 2.5.
I'm gonna try this,
and then it lasts me 6 or 8 hours, and I have like a really good experience, and then I'm not like coming down because you're microdosing. And I think that's what people don't realize is that it's not like this anxiety-based thing. Like if you take 3 grams or something where you're like, oh my God, I'm hallucinating and what happened in my life and blah, blah, blah. Yeah.
It's like total minor little like tweaks or something and things you'll like notice, I feel like.
I like it when I'm doing something that I wouldn't want to normally do. Like if I'm cleaning my bathroom, I'm like, I'm going to do a little microdose, and then I'm actually not going to hate this because the whole time I'm just going to be listening to music and kind of smiling and not dwelling on how much this is gross and I hate this.
My actual favorite plant medicine is Iboga.
Okay, someone was just telling me to try this.
Yeah, it's really hard to get. Iboga is a plant medicine that comes from the root bark of a shrub or a bush. It takes, I think, something like 6 to 8 years to mature for the actual shrub to produce the active ingredient. It's called ibogaine. They've isolated it, but iboga is like the plant, and what they do is they dig up the roots of it, and it's in the root bark.
Whoa.
And that root bark actually, this is what was told to me. I don't know if this is true, how it was discovered, but it comes from Africa. And, there's a number of shamans over there and different kind of healers. And one day he realized that his wife was like super clairvoyant, super truthful, like and kind of like off. Like not off, but like trippy somewhat, right? But being really, really clairvoyant and really like honest and
intuitive.
Oh, and really like programmed in. And he was like, "What the hell's going on?" He goes, "What do we eat? We didn't do anything different." Apparently, the porcupines they eat porcupines over there, and the porcupines eat the root bark of this shrub. Okay, to make a long story short. Wow. So his wife cooked the porcupine, ate the porcupine, and it was like having this clairvoyant moment. And like what Iboga does for me the couple times I've done it, well, I've done it more than a couple times, probably like 8 or 10 times, but I've done it on a microdosing basis. And the reason I found out about it is I watched my friend stop opioids in Costa Rica on a dime and not have withdrawals. Wow. And I asked him what happened because I had seen him 6 months ago, and I was like, Ryan, man, are you okay, man? Like, we are stoner friends, but he was out of it, and he was a server at one of the restaurants that I'd go to, and I knew there was something wrong. I knew he was taking pills, and he kind of told me, he's like, man, I'm kind of stuck on these pills, dude. I don't know what to do.
Oh no.
So anyway, long story short, him and I were talking, and another friend was talking. He was like, come to Nosaro, to this healing retreat. And he purchased like a half an ounce of Iboga, and he took an initial flood dose. And his friend basically was like, you have to do this, Ryan. You're like, your life is going to shit, and you're not right, and you need to try this. And he was like drinking and pills, opioid, all that shit.
Yeah.
So long story short, he actually took 3.5 grams and rode the bus home on this drug. And we're talking about a bus in Costa Rica where the bus is jammed and people are sitting on top of each other, and there's this is not a comfortable bus ride, right?
Oh my Lord.
And Ryan is he's an amazing person. He's very strong-minded, just a great person. All other issues, and then he microdosed for 10 days after that, and he told me all about his experience and how it allowed him to kind of see clearly what his mistakes were. People say you can talk to dead people by connecting with yourself. Where they talk about ayahuasca, they talk about going onto different dimensions and seeing new stuff. When you talk about Iboga kind of lets you see inside of yourself and go inside and change the things or see the things that you don't like. And one of my experience, my best experience with Iboga is, like I said, I don't smoke a lot of cigarettes. I never did. But all my partners were smoking cigarettes when we were building my Puerto Rico warehouse. And I'd taken it once, like kind of just to see what it was like. And I was smoking on and off some cigarettes for like 6 months. And I just got mad at myself. I was like, this is so dumb. I'm like doing construction with my partners and like, I don't smoke, but they all smoke. So, and I was like, I don't want to do this. But I realized I was kind of addicted to even like having a cigarette here and there, like, or having 3 to 5 a day or something, which was like, wow, this was not me. I hadn't smoked. I'm 40 years old at the time. This is like so dumb. And I felt that. So I was like, okay, I'm going to set my intention like you're supposed to do with Iboga. What they tell you is to kind of write a list of a few different things that you want to know about yourself or reprogram or fix. And I had one intention. I don't ever want to smoke a cigarette again.
Okay.
That was my one intention. I want to feel happy. Yeah, I want to feel happy or relaxed, and I never want to smoke cigarettes again. I took some Iboga, and I was going to the golf course because I knew that would be a good place for me to just chill and be outside. That's my go-to when I microdose because I'm a golfer. Mm-hmm. If I can't get to a park or somewhere cool or not, I just go to the golf course because it's peaceful and I see nature.
Yeah. And
I told myself I don't want to smoke cigarettes. I had a pack of Parliaments, and I literally 45 minutes later, I looked over at the cigarettes, and I was like, that is the most disgusting thing I've ever seen in my life. And I drove past my grow. I gave the pack of cigarettes to my partner. I haven't smoked a cigarette since, and I don't want to. And I actually went back. Like I never thought they were like as disgusting as I do now. But there was a time in my life when, I thought they were bad. But it lets you tell yourself something or see something that is a truth. And that is a truth for me. Like, that is a gross thing. I'm willing to admit that I did that, but it's a gross thing, right? Mm-hmm. And it lets you see that. It lets you see if you're lying to yourself. If you really like doing something, or you're really telling yourself you want to do something. And that's why people can get off addiction, because they see what's wrong with themselves. They go inside. Wow. They see something.
Truth serum for the soul. It's just
100%.
Self-truths laid. Wow, that's beautiful.
Mm-hmm. That's straight facts the way you said it you said it in a sentence when I babbled it for an hour.
Wow, so one can find this in Costa Rica.
Yeah, it's a Schedule I drug.
Okay.
In the United States, of course, because it's a plant. I mean, of course it's horrible for us. Let's make poison and drink it instead.
It's been growing naturally on this planet for millennia.
Forever,
so of course
and used by healers. I mean, we should outlaw it. Dr. Evil.
Yeah. But is it still like just as illegal in Costa Rica too?
I know it's legal to have the plant there. I don't know enough about the law there.
Okay.
I know people are growing it there for sure. I know people are using it for plant medicine, ceremonying there for sure. Mm-hmm.
It sounds like it's helping a lot
It
so
is.
I'm glad they're doing it.
I want to try it.
It's actually legal
immediately.
I have a list of things already.
It's actually, from my understanding, and the laws might have changed from when I looked into it. I haven't looked much into it lately, but I think in the EU and UK, parts of the EU and UK, it is actually, Iboga isn't legal, but ibogaine, which is like the active ingredient, is legal. So you can, but they're doing.
There's workarounds.
There's workaround, and there's also there's research being done on it, and I think mainly the U.S. that is. I don't think it's illegal in Costa Rica.
Okay.
Cool.
I don't
That is
think-
some legislative gray area. Cool.
I don't think I think it's like not something they want to promote, you know?
Right.
They should.
Right.
personally.
It sounds
Well-
like it's be good for their economy.
I've been going to Costa Rica since my dad passed, actually. So
Okay.
almost 15 years now. And I actually own some land down there too.
Oh, no way.
Yeah,
Whereabouts?
in the Southwest.
Okay.
Um,
On the peninsula?
no, it's all the I'm down in Hermosa area.
Cool.
It's actually it's a gigantic property that I helped a really good friend out when he needed some help. He was building a adventure park. He had he's got a zip line, waterfall rappel, horseback riding.
Monteverde? Or...
I want to go.
Yeah, it's actually in a little town called the Esturios. It's just south of Jaco
Okay.
and Hermosa. It's called the Park CR. Is his website, theparkcr.com. It's 850 acres. I was there 3 weeks or
What?
6 weeks ago.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay, wait.
And my
How
friend-
far is it from
my friend
Puerto
goes-
Rico, where you also live?
Across a little...
It's actually it's there's no direct flight from Costa Rica to Puerto Rico, unfortunately.
What?
Oh, that's
Missed
annoying.
opportunity.
Well, you can fly to Panama City,
Okay.
and then it's like a 45-minute flight to San Jose. Believe it or not, Puerto Rico is like almost in South America. Like
Kind of far down there.
it's the farthest island. I mean, there's a couple little ones out there, but it's like the farthest inhabited island in the South in the whatever it is in the Atlantic or the Gulf or whatever that region
Caribbean.
is.
The
The
Caribbean,
Caribbean.
Come on.
There
now.
you go. All right.
It is
So-
cool to be like, that way, the next land object is 2,000 miles.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. What's the weed scene like?
in Puerto Rico.
Yeah.
Well, we have some of the best weed there right now. My company. Weed.
What's your company called down there?
It's called Consolidated CR is the license name.
Okay.
But we're gonna come out with a new brand, and we're probably gonna call it 420s. 20s is a saying from Costa Rica. Actually, it means it's like what the locals say. It's not 20s, it's 20s. 20s, my. So it means like too nice or cool. It's like it's the literal form translation is too nice, but it's what everybody says to be cool, right? To be like, bro, dude, you're awesome. Thanks a lot. It's like it's almost like aloha. It's like right for the locals.
Okay.
But for me, I always try to put a twist on it. I don't know if this will work or not, but 20s was cool, so why not make it 420s?
Yeah.
Because
Seems
then
pretty good wordplay. Yeah.
it's a pretty
I-
good wordplay,
I
right?
like it.
And we're building our store. We're gonna call it Bodega. Instead of bodega, it's gonna be
Nice.
bodega.
Nice.
And because I don't have a disillusion of making it a huge brand. Maybe it'll go, but I don't have the capital behind me to open 6, 8, 10 stores. But
Right.
to answer your question, Puerto Rico's weed scene is dominated by a company called Preach. They have a 400,000 square foot grow and product that's okay.
Okay.
They're
But this is medical only, right?
medical only,
Okay.
but they just decriminalized it last
Oh.
week.
Congratulations, Puerto Rico.
Exactly. So Puerto Rico is coming along in that, and the weed scene is there. Everybody loves cannabis. There's CBD shops and stuff like that there
So it's
too.
very widely accepted and
Honestly, I feel like the stigma for cannabis is like it's less negative there than it is in the United States. One of the really big problems right there is like everybody complains in Colorado that our weed's too dry, right?
right.
You open up the jar, it's too dry. It's one of the cool things about Snacksland is that however they dry cure it, it's usually pretty wet. It's, in my opinion, actually needs to be dried out a little bit before I really want to smoke it. Like I usually set it out for a night or let it air out or burp it a little bit. But that's way better than all these other companies
Yeah.
that you got to try to like rehydrate their product
Yeah.
to smoke
Oh my
it
god,
properly.
it's literally like you try to crushes in your finger to dust. Some of these brands.
Totally.
But in Puerto Rico, even if the weed is super dry in the jar, you open it up And in like,
it's not going to be dry anymore.
oh, you put it on the table and it's on air conditioning. You wait like 20 minutes and the thing is moist and you don't want to smoke. You can literally
gosh.
You need a grinder for everything. Here, I broke this weed up on the table to roll the joint, right? And I didn't need a grinder. I just smushed it with my hands and it was fine. It smoked fine. Everything's fine. Like there, you would have to like pick it apart for 20 minutes, like little by little, or use a grinder. One of the problems then too for all the stores is they get the weed in bulk. They unpackage it, and then they unpackage it from our pound. They lay it out, and if they don't lay it out in a really super controlled environment room, then when they go to pack it in eighths or quarters or whatever,
Soggy.
the weed gets wet again.
Oh
and then
my
I'm selling the weed that I got to the right moisture content.
And they fucked it up.
They fucked it up. So one of the things
post-production
is important, and I want to go to pre-pack now that we've established ourselves as one of the higher end companies in Puerto Rico.
So will you do like little glass jars or like the Mylar bags?
I want to do glass jars down there because
very classy.
Yeah, I think it just needs to happen down there, and I think it's a way to sell. Like the market, we were selling for $3,000 a pound, and some of the we were at the high end of the vendors, and recently the market, as everybody knows, has been coming down after the pandemic or whatever it was. I'm not a conspiracy theorist. I think a lot of people took advantage of the situation after it got bad personally. But anyway, I think, in order to continue to have high prices, you need to continue to have high quality.
Totally.
And you need to figure out in each market how to distinguish yourself. Pre-packing in those climates, I think, is really necessary.
Gonna benefit you.
Are the packaging laws there like looser than they are here?
No, it's got to be child. Most of everybody's using pop tops, the child-proof stuff. It's not as hard. There's, and I can't. I don't know that. Don't quote me 100% on the edibles, but I don't think they have as many rules and regulations for like the way that stuff is packaged. It's just like a simple child-proof packaging, where our stuff is getting more and more complicated by the year, it seems.
Yeah.
Totally.
Like every legislative session, they need to change it up for some reason.
Well, I mean, we were talking about, before the show, too, we were talking about concentrates and coming down on detoxing off of, high levels of cannabis, which all of us here have. And that is something that it's hard for me because I want more volume to sell as a business person. But I do think there should be some awareness. I don't think necessarily it's fair to like make us package stuff different, because it doesn't matter. They're going to take it out of the packaging and take 3 times as much anyway.
Yeah.
But I think we should have to bring more awareness to overuse of cannabis.
Like the cannabis hypermesis syndrome that's like a lot of people are talking about on Instagram, at least. Are you aware of this?
No, I don't know much about that.
So
enlighten me.
What I know is that if you are a very like chronic user of cannabis for a long time, which we all are
in this room, yes.
Yeah.
Like over like a decade of, daily, whatever, weekly,
hourly
consumption, that people can develop. You can get like nausea, headaches, vomiting. And it's like you're talking about of like the withdrawal, like your friends.
When you stop using cannabis, you can definitely have a withdrawal. And mainly if you're using, if you're smoking a ton, you probably have to smoke a ton of flower for that. I'd say 1/8 plus a day at least of flower.
Yeah.
Which,
I've definitely been there, but it started to hurt. The combustion just started to hurt my throat, actually, which is why I moved to the low temperature dabbing.
Yeah, which I agree with that too. You just got to watch out, because I guess this is opinion based, but I feel like, I smoked cigarettes when I was a kid for a couple of years, and I do like the smoke. And I think I think one of the things you have to watch out when you go from flower to dab is the volume has to be way lower of smoke. And if you're trying to get a smoking session,
then that's not the way to go.
In my opinion,
Yeah.
I mean, roll a doob and then feel that asphyxiation for a few hits and go, whoa, I don't want this much smoke. Mm-hmm. Where lower temperature dab, eventually then you get the higher volume, especially that's why I like the Puffco, because you're way less likely to put a large amount of cannabis in the Puffco because it's timed, it heats up and cools down. It's only going to, you can only get so much volume.
It's a pretty small chamber too.
Totally. And it's not and it's a chamber that's like, you got some recirculators here or whatever. The water's never going to hit you because of all the different valves and all that stuff. It's going to like come up so you can keep bringing the smoke in. Where the Puffco, you hit it and it's like, if you keep trying to hit it too long, you have too much volume in there. Like it doesn't work the same unless you dab it really hot. And then you might as well just take a dab.
Right.
So I dab it on green, which is a second heat setting, and it gives it some.
What temperature do you think that is?
I think that's probably
like 500? 550?
I think it's probably 550 to 600, and I don't mind that at its peak, right? So
Fahrenheit.
It's
nice.
It's something, and I do really think though I've noticed a bunch of different people that too much dabbing, and I watch people with all this glass out there, and I've been more into the glass in the last 6 months and collecting and checking it all out and just seeing what people are doing and all the vendors. There's a lot of people just high volume dabbing.
Oh yeah, especially with these new terp slurpers. Have you seen those?
Oh yeah, I won one on a.
No way.
Yeah, I won a Lions glass one.
Amazing.
A really
I've
cool
only
one
used
on
one
Instagram.
one time at a friend's house in Denver. I don't have one, but yeah, that's for people who are taking like very big dabs.
The first time I hit it, I actually bought the terp slurper. I didn't realize how high volume and like whatever it was, and I rarely cough my brains out when I smoke. I just rarely. I just like that. And like I'll feel like, oh, it's a little too much, and then I'll just like won't take the rest because I don't.
Right.
I don't, if I waste a little cannabis, whatever. And
you're trying to moderate your own
yeah,
body.
I don't want to hurt my lungs more than anything too. Like I feel like if I cough,
that's what my parents say. They're like, we don't want your lungs hurt.
yeah, it's like lungs are important.
You only get one set, unless you get a transplant, and that is not good.
Not good.
And we only need them every second to breathe.
Yeah, that's it.
Right.
That's it.
Forget about that.
That's it.
Honestly, seriously.
I think that the dabbing community is awesome, and I think the concentrates are awesome. I think it's just, again, the awareness of where it can bring you to.
Yeah.
And you have cannabinoid receptors in your brain, as we know,
all over your body.
All over your body, but it's my understanding that once you fill yourself with a certain amount of cannabis, they're like full, right? Mm-hmm. And
saturated.
Well, I think that's the cannabis hypermesis syndrome, is like
you never take a break.
You've exceeded your cannabinoid levels and they're now like at max capacity, like stop.
Mm-hmm.
Fried.
But you said your friend was experiencing major
horrible withdrawals, and this person had to basically
like similar to that of like a heroin withdrawal.
Well, yeah. At first,
I don't know what a heroin. I imagine
I don't need
sweating and
no sweating, headache, fever, nausea, sweats.
Oh my gosh.
Pretty causing some depression to the point where it's like this person was dabbing and dabbing, and for other pain, for other stuff like all of us do, not thinking about it. And then it was like, wait, now I'm feeling really weird. This person told me about it. And I was like, when I dabbed the most in my life was 2013 when we were making concentrates. And I experimented with all kinds of ways to make them. And I definitely wasn't getting all the solvent out of it. And, but I experienced like eye issues, ear issues.
Oh my gosh.
And like my ears started to hurt when I would dab, and then my eye would twitch. And this person kind of told me like, my eyes are freaking out and I can't look at the screen. And I'm like,
Oh my
that
God.
happened to me when I dabbed too much years ago, and my eyes would hurt, my ears would hurt, and I had to take a break. And I didn't know, I just like stopped using concentrates, but didn't stop smoking weed.
Yeah.
So I probably smoked some more weed to like not withdrawal bad.
Yeah.
But, this person was definitely like, wow, I need to take like a bong hit even every 2 or 3 hours to combat the withdrawal symptoms of the dabs. And has been over the last couple weeks, like slowly taking less cannabis. And as the story has been shared with some friends and other people, they're like, oh no, that's a real thing. And they're saying, there's other people who are saying, yeah, people that are highly dabbing are having withdrawal like heroin or, like serious toxic withdrawal. Maybe not the same kind of like mental addiction stuff.
Okay.
Because
totally.
I
don't want to equate it to like
No.
heroin.
I'm not I think the physical symptoms of withdrawal are there, and this is how you can know safely. This is an important point, that cannabis is not a mentally, physically addictive drug, because these people are not having the same mental struggle.
Right.
They're having a highly physical, like I'm sick struggle, not like I need this drug or I'm going to kill myself.
Right. Back to Puerto Rico and where you see the industry going as a whole.
Okay. So this one to me is really interesting, and it plays into where I'm going. I think that we're going towards brand building now. I think that, like we talked about, I don't know if we're on air or off air, these dispensaries are just retail stores. And they're actually retail stores with a gigantic handicap because of the tax code, 280E. And
wow, yeah.
And then the fluctuation of all the pricing, right. From the vendors, and the customers that are pissed consistently because of the fluctuation of their pricing or the unavailability of consistently the Mac one that they wanted, or
the strains they want.
And the growers, because they can't be consistent with whatever, they just keep putting out new strains because the new stuff is going to sell.
Yeah.
Meanwhile,
instead of like building their brand on really good strains that people will want consistently.
Right. And what I believe is we're going to have $1 trillion industry. We're going to have legalization. It's going to take in the next 10 years. I think we're going to build somewhere between 2,000 and 10,000 $100 million cannabis companies. Now that's including what's already out there. There's probably, who knows? But if you break down $1 trillion industry and how many times that money goes back into it, right? Because if it spits out $1 trillion at the end, the grow is part of that. That's sold to the store. That's sold to the outside people. So that are selling just goods and services,
right.
or packaging, whatever it is. So I feel like there's going to be thousands of $100 million companies. I feel like there's going to be brands that are built. I feel like something like High Minded could latch on and build some products around its podcast, where a company like mine, like Numbnuts, could help you do that, because we're not just selling products. One of the other things we're doing is we're trademarking things, and we're helping, and we want to help develop companies in cannabis. But why I'm going into that, and I'm still in the store business, I'm still in the cultivation business, and I will never stay out of that, but I want to build brands, because eventually when it's legal, brands are going to be national, and that's where these big companies are going to look. And if you have the start, you have the packaging, the processing, the product that people like, and I'm going to bring Numbnuts to Puerto Rico, we're going to go to Michigan and a couple other states here. And then when you get a product, that's in multiple states, even if the volume isn't quite as high as some other companies, you have the channels.
You have the presence. Right. You can build later.
And if you have really what a lot of these companies, you look at cookies, right?
Yep.
Why is cookies so big?
Well, burner and just like the brand, but the genetics really stuck on, and everyone wanted their genetics, the Girl Scout cookies.
Yeah. Yes, you're right. The cookies, you're absolutely right with the initial groundswell. But you know what they did to light a fire under it?
What?
Millions in marketing.
Oh, yeah.
Millions. Just lit a match to money. So everybody knows who they are. Right?
So true.
And now, boom.
Cookie stores popping up everywhere. And now time for a quick commercial break. On the Weed Maps app, those who are 21 and up can order online for delivery or in-store pickup from local retailers. You can also browse menus and look for deals in your areas to save on cannabis. And you can get helpful notifications about price drops, new product launches, etc. Check out our show notes to download the app today.
So I see the industry going towards bigger business.
Then it's sad for the little guys.
It sucks. I don't see all the little guys going away.
They just need to find funding.
You need to find funding. You need to find a little niche. There's going to be so many creative little things that happen.
Yeah.
But I think you're better off.
Like Cannagars. Like those are still.
They're good, but they never scaled.
Yeah.
Right? And
solventless gummies.
Solventless gummies is huge. Solventless edibles.
Yes.
Forget about anything. Solventless edibles is.
And people who are not doing solventless, I'm just like, why?
Solvents are done. It's over.
Literally, we don't want that shit in our body.
I mean, I know some of us here are proponents of other things besides Delta 9, but personally, I like my Delta 9s.
Some things.
No, I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that, but I don't think people are really effectively seeing or calculating that's having a huge effect on the industry. Delta 8,
and Delta
10, Delta 0, all these other things that can get shipped right to your house that people think is weed.
It is. It's kind of scary.
It's changing, and that stuff needs to be. That's why we need it
needs to be regulated. In some way.
They need. I mean, that's all distillate solvent based crap that people are putting in their bodies.
So true.
It's like it's CBD sprayed with weed.
Yeah.
It's just sprayed with D8.
Yep.
Yeah.
Anyway,
so true.
I'm not saying there's anything. And people are being creative. I love it. But
because they're discovering all these like new cannabinoids. So then it's like
until
might
they
as well try
federally
'em.
legalize, people are gonna find a way to get around it. So the reality is we just need.
See, I bet CBD created more millionaires than THC.
Oh wow! Wait, what's your view on the
Probably bankrupted
CBD,
a lot of people too.
CBD market?
I guess we should say it other cannabinoids because now we got CBG and
CBN.
CBN. We have Delta 8, which is part of that now too.
Yeah, which is crazy.
Because they take the CBD and they call it crashing it and make it into other stuff. That's where this stuff is all. It's not like
I thought it was hemp derived.
It is. So what they do, in my understanding, I could be wrong.
Okay.
Is they extract the hemp. The hemp doesn't have Delta 8 initially in it. Okay.
I thought that it does, but in small amounts.
Sure. But they're also small. We got a small amount from every plant, and all of a sudden it's in every state, and everybody can get as much as they want. Who's got a kilo of Delta 8? Yeah? Small amounts in every plant.
So they're making it in a lab?
It's all made in a lab.
And spraying
all this
hemp.
All this stuff is a conversion. These cannabinoids for heat, pressure, all these different things that these scientists can do. They can change the molecule or whatever it is. If I knew the science better, but I know the general theories that they're what they call crashing the CBD into Delta 8.
Wow.
Right? So they're
and you just do that in a beaker with some heat and extraction or
some CBD mumbo jumbo.
Wow.
Oh my God. And some butane.
And that's where it started or whatever. So to me it's this. So many people have made so much money too, just selling
garbage
CBD joints and CBD pounds and CBD. Before
CBD gummies are huge.
I mean, I know people have 100K plus a month profit selling CBD products. That like, who's using all this stuff?
That's like subpar quality.
It's cheaper. It's about price.
Yeah.
Wow.
Right. And to your point, federal legalization can change that whole scale and make the real THC come to the market.
Yeah. See, that's what I want. I want it. We got to federally legalize.
I don't want that personally for my business that fast.
Tell us why.
Because
That
because big business is going to whoop my ass.
Oh.
Because Coca-Cola is going to come and invest $100 million right next to me.
Well, but
or more. I'm not saying I
there's
don't.
still like limited licenses though and stuff, and like
If it's federally legal, okay, the first thing
there?
they're going to do is interstate commerce, which is going to kill all that stuff, because it doesn't matter that there's only 8 stores in Utah or 8 grows in Utah. If I can ship my weed from Colorado to Utah, see you later, Utah growers.
Yeah, if South Dakota or something makes it legal to have endless plants, then all of a sudden the entire country is smoking South Dakotan weed.
Yeah.
oh
So
fuck.
a game, like, just a big game changer, right?
So it like has to be on a state level then, like state by state, just doing it
to me,
because it's
I'm
too
able to
big.
navigate because I know about the industry. So if it changes, I want it to be federally legal because it should be. My personal stance is 100%, and my business
Yeah.
stance is I'll figure it out.
Okay.
But if you're asking me probably what's the best for me would be like, oh, give me the Banking Act for the next 4 or 5 years,
Okay.
but keep it federally illegal. So now I don't have to deal with 280 and I get the regular tax benefits, and I can go to a bank and get loans. And I, as a little guy, can
One guy.
can make this can make this come up. But also I'm really into the social equity thing.
Totally.
The New York
Yes.
is my home state.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, and they just made their
They just put the
program.
board. I have a group I put together with a bunch of different people of all different races, colors, sexes, backgrounds, all this kind of stuff, and
Amazing.
and almost all New Yorkers. And I've been through this. I want to do better, of course, but getting a license in New York to me means probably everything. And if I own 10, 20% of it, 5% of it, I don't care. I see it as a vehicle, and I want to bring what I know to the community. Mm-hmm. I don't know a lot of other New Yorkers that have been in the regulated cannabis industry for 12 years, have owned, multiple dispensaries and grows and done business in 6 or 8 different states like I have.
Yeah.
So my resume, when it goes on the application, being a native New Yorker, I'm going to hold a lot of weight.
Yeah.
I now have surrounded myself with, the Black community, with a bunch of females, the Hispanic community, and I'm going to put all these people on the license as owners. I'm not that person that's going to be like, no,
Yeah.
this is mine. I want to write an application for New York where they're like, oh my God, if we don't give this group a license, we're going to get sued.
Okay. Yeah.
That's the application I want. I want to check every box because
Yeah.
I've helped win a license in Utah, a vertically integrated license, one of 3 licenses that was vertically integrated.
Wow.
There was 300 applications or more for 14 cultivations, for 8 cultivations. We won. There was like 500 applications or more for 14 stores. We won that. Only 3 companies won that.
Gosh.
And then I sold my portion of that to the owners because they wouldn't build the cultivation. But they wanted to go in a different direction. That's their choice.
Yeah.
But I know even that I won applications in Nevada. I've done Puerto Rico. I've been through the process. Washington State,
Totally.
Oregon
You're
as well.
Very experienced across the board.
One of the things I've done is I'm a Long Island kid, and I know Nassau, Suffolk County, a little bit of Brooklyn and the Bronx, but not that much. A good friend of mine, or someone that's become a good friend of mine through the networking process, he introduced me to a bunch of people in Brooklyn and Manhattan and the Bronx. The guy's name is Dr. Lance McCarthy. He's actually pretty well known. He's right now the CFO of the George Floyd Foundation.
Oh.
And he's very well known in the Black community. He's worked for the White House.
Wow.
He calls himself Dr. Finance. He's a big economist.
Okay.
Yeah, he's a really super amazing, cool guy. He's got a big old beard, and I'll show you guys on Instagram who he is. But
Okay. Wait, I'm like, I think I've seen this guy on Instagram.
yeah, Dr. Lance is pretty cool. You might have seen. I've reposted some of his some of the
I
stuff
definitely have.
that he says. And but anyway, him and I made friends like probably 5 years ago when we were doing the Vegas stuff, and we've always kept up. And I'm going to his party in Vegas, so maybe
Oh.
it'll be a good time to
Hell
network
yeah.
there. So, but I started to get involved in all that, and he he really liked me. You know, I'm pretty open to everything. You know, it's funny because being Jewish isn't a minority. I don't know. We're like 2% of the population, but we're not a minority. So, but you know, he's like my Jewish brother. You know, we're good. Dude, you know, so we're all like, there's a good vibe. And so he introduced me to a couple other New Yorkers too, because he's from California, but he knows so many people on the East Coast, and he's got so many, you know, so much plugged in people. So I'm networking with his crew. He's got a lot more people from the city, and we actually found someone upstate. So the hope is that we get a license like Florida, where you can open 15, 20 stores or 30 or whatever amount of stores you want.
Yeah.
And we just want one cultivation and extraction, and we want, you know, a number of stores so we could put 3 to 5 on Long Island, 3 to 5 in the city, couple upstate, because, you know, that's how you build a business. But I won't be greedy. If they give me any license, I'd be super happy. But
good luck.
Yeah, I mean, it's gonna be crazy. It's gonna be fun.
Do you know when the application closes?
They don't even. They haven't even.
They're like, they've told us nothing.
What they did last week is they appointed the 4 members of the board. Governor Cuomo wrote it into law, did whatever the hell he did, and then basically blocked them. Like, all he had to do this whole time was appoint the board that writes the rules and regs and puts out the request for proposal. He never did that. The new governor came in. She seems really cool. She came in, and that was like one of her first things. It's like, no, we need to push this.
Yeah.
So she appointed, I think, 2 people, and then they appointed publicly 2 more people or something like that. But this is going to happen in the
building.
It's building. My thought process is that by the end of the year, they'll have requested people to write this application, and sometime by the end of the first quarter, they'll have awarded the licenses and hope to get next year the program kind of built out. There is medical cannabis in New York already, so though hopefully they'll, for the community, they'll give those people a jump. Let the medical, but there's only like 6 stores. It's something crazy. Like,
I've heard that
they'd pretty much be, if they let them be recreational right now, it'd be a shit show.
Yeah. Oh my God. No. The market would be flooded.
How'd you like to be a bud tender there?
No one. Yeah. You could be like, oh my, that'd be so sad, because you could be like, you can only buy like an eighth or 2. Like, wouldn't you have to cap like how much people can buy?
I mean, you'd eventually just sell out,
and then there'd be not enough for anyone. Like,
it's probably a good time to ship to Puerto Rico, because Puerto Rico had that problem for a long time, until about 3 to 5 months ago, where more and more companies started to come online. But you would go in Puerto Rico a year ago, and oftentimes they'd have 1 or 2 strains and like shake. That was your only flower option, and like some bad edibles and BHO pens. And
that's
what's actually
for sure.
what's actually really another interesting thing about Puerto Rico is you can't make solventless there.
what?
Really?
Yeah, because there's no law for it.
Oh my gosh, that's so frustrating.
So when they wrote the rules and regs, they wrote them so that the process was to use a solvent to extract the cannabis.
No.
And because in the rules and regs, it says that you have to use a solvent.
Oh my God.
Wow.
You can't do it solventless.
That makes me so mad. I'm so I'm angry.
Yeah, no. It's a super frustrating thing because, you know, the community down there really needs it. And it wasn't frustrating until about 3 months ago, when now there's a little bit of a glut of product on the market. There's a lot of bad product. There's only so much good product. But now when that happens, that bad product, as we've learned in our more advanced states, we can freeze it because we know it's going to be bad. We can press it. We can do all these different things. We can, you know, as other people do, we can, the solventless gummies, like, they're not made out of live. The solventless gummies are just made out of a press. I don't know if you guys know that, but.
Or don't they do the fresh frozen too?
My understanding is most of the solventless gummies.
Someone just has like a hair straightener and they're just.
No,
like,
it's a huge ass. It's like,
no, it's not that they don't do anything different in the process. It's still rosin. It's still hash rosin even.
Yeah.
A lot of times. However, it's not frozen because it doesn't need to have that. It gives it a better look, and it gives it even a more. There's even fragmentally probably or incrementally. there's less residual or residue in there when it's frozen. It's like a cleaner separation, right? So the gummy, if there is a little, like if the solvent doesn't look as presentable, but it's the same thing.
Yeah.
Right? Or the hash doesn't look as presentable, but it's the same thing.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter. It's going to have the same effect. So I learned that recently. I thought it was all live product too, but it's not.
Okay.
It's not. It's actually dry, trim, or bud.
Pressed. Okay. Wow. Oh,
Because it does. But when you think about it, does it really matter if it's live or not?
No, I guess not.
The live makes it. The live, in my understanding, also makes it be able to be in like a suspended state longer. So like when you put it in the fridge or the freezer or whatever, like it stays like that.
That's what I'm thinking. It's more of like
But it doesn't matter because they just smush it in all this gel and this gummies, and then
that's going to be the next hot product is the live solventless gummies.
Yeah, I mean it is dialed in. I think is probably the.
Oh yeah, they're
don't you
so
think
good? Yeah,
they're like the hottest. I mean, for me, they're kind of the hottest company on the market, and also because they did the strain specific.
Yeah,
yeah.
That matches with the flavors. They
use the terps to
Well, that's the new thing about cooking and going back to numb nuts a little bit is like, nuts are a lot of protein. That's good for you, and then when you put different things in there, it can combat the taste of a lot of the cannabis because it's hard to make cannabis edibles really taste awesome.
It is. It's difficult.
It's not, and what we're finding is if you can, maybe if you can use CBD even is less palatable, let's call it, like in an extracted form, right?
Yeah.
But Puerto Rico, the market's totally shifted. Now there's more product on the market. We have a little bit over $100 million market medical. We have like 120,000 patients.
What about rec? Is rec going to come online?
We sure as shit hope so. I mean, we need it. We did before we could. The demand would have blown us out of the water, but the prices have dropped significantly, and the amount of product because it was worth so much, just like everything. Everybody ramped up.
Yeah.
And now there's more of it, so it's worth less, especially the OK product. But yeah, they're gonna.
Has it already been voted on? Or?
No, recreational is not voted on. Recreational needs to just happen there, in my opinion, because they're like totally missing the boat. Florida's gonna beat them. Right now, someone like you and all of us stoners. Yeah, Puerto Rico's not as cool as Miami in some ways, but if you knew the cannabis scene was cool there, and you could like go down there, buy good rec cannabis, there'd be so much more tourism. There'd be so much more money that would come to them. And it's like stoners make choices based on whether they can bring their weed with them somewhere or they can get good weed where they go.
Totally.
Right?
Yeah.
So, and there's a lot of us. So these islands and all these places that are destinations need to do that. Like, I mean, I really want to open like a bud and breakfast, like.
Oh my gosh.
Please. This is my RSVP. Yeah,
yes,
I'm there.
We will be your first customers.
I love it. Yeah. I mean, if someone opened any rec store in Old San Juan, it would go
nuts.
Cuckoo bananas. Yeah, like instantly.
Cuckoo bananas?
Yeah, I don't know why I said that. I've never said that before in my life. But
no, that's amazing.
Where are the stores that you're trying to open located? Or
I'm opening, surprisingly, I guess I like to do repeat things. I'm opening right next to Walmart, my first store, which is...
Hey, a lot of people go there.
Well, my green tree in Longmont is right in front of Walmart.
No, it's great traffic.
It's kind of ironic.
Foot traffic.
Yeah. We're opening right in Santurce, which is San Juan, basically. There's a ton of stores that are like right on Ashford Ave, which is the main drag in Condado. Which is like another tourist area.
Right on the beach.
Yeah, which is where I live over there, an apartment. But because it's just convenient. It's like cool city life. But there's so many stores over there. And they don't have parking. They're waiting for rec. It's basically a lost leader for them for rec. And my store is like a mile from the beach, basically. You could get there in a couple dollar Uber. I have parking behind it. We're going to try to make a pretty cool vibe. And not to mention that, like, a lot of people go to Walmart. So,
I'm like,
hey,
a lot
honey.
of people smoke weed. A lot of people go to Walmart.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, hey, honey, I'm going to go to Walmart. Oh, yeah. Okay, I'll go with you, honey. I'm going to go to the dispensary. You just park,
yeah.
Our overfill parking is like the 3-story, like 3-level Walmart parking next to us, basically.
Wow.
So
I think that's going to be pretty successful.
Yeah, and even if we don't get rec there, what I've put together is a smaller grow with a store. I have an option to open another store, another grow that might come online too. But for right now, what I have is really self-contained and vertically integrated. So having some of the better product on the island and having my own store, I'm not as concerned as some of the guys right now that have 4 or 5 stores and no cultivation, or a big cultivation and no store. Yeah. So I kind of modeled a little after what I did here, which is worst case scenario, I got a little island to hang out on and with a business that works. And I'm glad I did, because if I would have went bigger, I'd be worried right now because of a couple companies just trying to dominate, and if you can get through that period of time, get the record, get whatever, some of the other stores or brands will fall off and we'll be one of the counterculture kind of, Snacksland did the same kind of thing, right? They started out small, they grew a really good product, and now they have a good name. So even if time now when products going down, and their pricing to the dispensaries going down a little bit, but not to where they're not making an incredible margin, unbelievable. And one thing people should know about the stores, and customers get upset all the time, which is normal, and I understand, but the pricing at most of the stores, not even mine, I'm talking in general, is reflective of what the vendor is willing to sell it to us for. And we can only give out so much weed at cost or whatever. We got to pay our bills too, and we can't write off anything that's related to the sale of a Schedule I drug. So a lot of this normal things that people write off in a business that can let them operate at a smaller margin, we can't.
Thank you for all of this incredible insight. I feel like we should wrap it up. This has been amazing. Do you have one more?
I was just going to say, do you want to tell the story that you told us when we were off air about your dad and
what was I talking
your
about?
parents and how they told you about drugs?
Okay, I do. I actually do. I thank you. That's a good reminder, because that's kind of like a PSA almost,
I think that's,
give a PSA to the people.
Yeah. Well,
good parenting looks like this.
I had the most amazing parents. Still have an amazing mom. Wouldn't give up my dad for anybody, even though he passed when I was 28. But when I was almost 15, we had to talk about drugs, which a lot of parents and children do. And at the time, I didn't know my dad and mom used marijuana, but they use it. My mom still does, and it was normalized in my family later on. But what they told me at this discussion when I was a young teenager was, it's okay. We know we've watched you have a beer. We'll let you have a beer. We don't want you to go getting super intoxicated, but we know drinking is going to happen, and it's okay. We know that you want to smoke weed. We know your friends are going to smoke weed. It's just be careful. We'd rather have you have 2 or 3, 4 friends over, hang out in the basement, the backyard. We'll take everybody's keys or whatever. Just don't be silly about this. But what they told me about, every other drug out there was, we're not going to be upset in any way, no matter what you do, but we're going to be really angry. We're going to be really frustrated, and you might get in trouble basically if you don't follow our advice on this. You can, and the advice was, watch your friends. Let your friends do cocaine, heroin, ecstasy. We're telling you, do this for 6 months before you let them make your decision for you, or make a decision after you have the information. Marijuana, alcohol, no big deal. Just moderate yourself. But all these other drugs, it's not worth it. And all we're asking you to do, we're begging you to do basically is watch your friends, they'll do it and make an informed decision. And because of that, I never fell into any of those things, and I always was a cannabis user. And cannabis, I feel, helped me tremendously in my life. And sure, I've had some negative things with cannabis. Sometimes your energy is low or, whatever. But on a net, my pain has been relieved. My anxiety has been so much better.
Yeah,
and
same.
I'm just so grateful that my parents steered me away from all those other hard drugs and made me really listen to them, and with common sense told me, just watch other people do it. You're too young, and we're going to get mad if you don't watch other people. You might do it. We don't care at some point, but we're going to get really mad if you don't watch other people do this thing first. And, people just ruin their lives with other drugs like that. So, but thank you for having me on the show.
Thank you so much, Mike. This was so informative.
You can find me at Can You Believe It on Instagram. You can follow the Peaceful Choice, Green Tree Medicinals.
There it is.
And
at MJ BizCon Vegas.
MJ BizCon Vegas, I'll be there. But yeah, I mean, I'm a consultant, so I'm willing to help anybody with just about any project they need in cannabis. But I'd say my specialty is business development and general knowledge of the industry.
Thank you so much to everyone who tuned in to this episode. It really means a lot to us. Please be sure to give us a 5-star review and rating on Apple Podcasts and follow us on Instagram at HighMindedPod.
Big thanks to Weed Maps. Download the Weed Maps app in the link in our show notes.
And stay high.
Stay high.